Unlocking the Cage is produced by The Manager Special. This show is recorded live on Twitch Sunday nights at 5 Pacific on @Managers Comedy. Check out our other show, Virtual Improv, Fridays at 7 Pacific. Or check out our YouTube for recordings of this show, our other shows, as well as animation, short films, and sketch comedy. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Whether he's removing his face or on a criminal plane or a historical chase, we love Nicolas Cage. Star of screen and stage, gonna watch him all day while he's a screaming with rage, cause we're unlocking the cage.
Hi, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Unlocking the Cage. I am your host, Meg, and this is my co-host, Chris.
Hello, how is everyone doing? Hello.
We're screaming into the void, but I'm sure everyone's doing great. The goal of this show is to watch and rank every single one of Nicolas Cage's 104 movies. Today's movie, we are talking about Wild at Heart from 1990. It's a David Lynch movie. It's real fun.
Gonna say right now, did not like this film, but we'll get into it.
I know. I think we're gonna really cover the gamut here, from liked it to middle ground to did not like it. So yeah, just a warning, if you have not seen this movie, which is literally from 30 years ago, we are going to spoil this movie. I don't know why.
There's no way to see it unless you own a DVD or you illegal. Apparently, never mind. I won't say it now. I guess we'll talk about it, but that's like insane.
Yeah, you cannot stream this movie. You cannot pay money to stream this movie. The only way to get this is to buy the DVD. A few other things before we introduce our guest. Our theme song is by Will Gianetta, who is our guest next week, talking about National Treasure. And our current Nicolas Cage movie count is 12 for me and 27 for Chris. I've been keeping track, Chris.
Yep.
27. Out of 104 movies. So we have a way to go. Why don't we bring out our guest? He is a good friend of ours. He is screenwriter Brendon Bouzard.
Hey-o. There he is, Mr. Bouzard. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hi,
How's it
Brendon.
going? Hello there. How are y'all doing today?
Good. A fun thing that just happened to me is when I went to the bathroom before the show, I killed about 20 ants.
Well done.
Chris's horrified face.
20? Oh, man, they're back.
No, that's good. That's satisfying.
Yeah, we have this like spray stuff, this like herbal spray stuff that just sort of stops them in their tracks.
It's herb-based, but instant death for an ant.
Really?
Instant. Like, they stop, like, freezing in time. Like, their nervous system just shuts down when this stuff hits their body. It's crazy.
I need to get some of that. That sounds good. We have a few ants, like, in the kitchen area. It's not that bad, but...
I do recommend this because it's non-toxic, for sure.
It's like anise-based or something like that. It's not like, yeah.
This
that sounds delicious.
Spray it on your food. Make some rice and put some on there. Or
you won't have to worry about ants climbing on your food. Brendon, what's going on with you?
Let's see what's new with me. I bought a Nintendo Switch.
No, you didn't.
You found one, you bastard.
I did. I found one and I bought one. So I have a Nintendo Switch, which is fun.
Did you get it?
I did. Yeah. I spent about an hour and a half earlier today playing Breath of the Wild. It's wonderful.
Oh my God.
Meg's like, show is canceled. Time to go over Brendan's house.
I talked to Brendon fairly frequently, and this is the first time hearing of that. So
well, I felt like I could surprise y'all with this news, since I figured that you would ask me what's going on.
How did you
Meg, you keep saying save it for the show. He was saving
That's
it
true.
for
I
the
do.
show.
I do say every time we try to talk about something interesting, I'm like, save it for the stream. Wait, how did you find it though?
Target.com.
Nice. Awesome.
She's like, I will go on Target.com.
No, I don't need a Switch. We got plenty of PlayStation games.
You a little bit need a Switch.
Okay. Chris, what's new with you?
Oh, well, I don't know. Let me think. Well, we went on a lovely vacation.
That's true, we did.
And things are, it was a nice, we went to Morro Bay, which has the only seafood that I have found in California. Like the only good actual seafood in all of California. Like this isn't like, you get like a tuna steak or like a, this is like they have fried seafood that you would find in
fried
like
shit.
Yeah, like Maryland or Rhode Island, Boston area. So that was very lovely. And now we're back.
What? Sorry, go ahead.
What I was saying, now we're back. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say your theory is that seafood is linked to bays, and that's why there's none on Los Angeles coast.
I think that's like you explained this to me that there was, because it's a bay, there's more shellfish. So I'm like, oh,
I didn't. I don't think. I think you came to that conclusion on your own, but I don't disagree.
I mean, there definitely was more.
I was going to recommend a town to go to for good seafood in California, and it's a bay. It's Half Moon Bay in the Bay Area. Like it's the best like fried seafood that you will get on the West Coast.
I mean, we cracked it, I think, because we were like, oh wait, Maryland, bay, Rhode Island, bay, Boston, bay, Maine, there's no bay, but still.
I mean, San Francisco itself also has pretty good seafood. Chopina is like delicious. So bay.
Michael, bay.
Bay leaves.
Leaves. Oh no, now it's turning into Run On.
All right, so
Run On 2MB Studios.
Is a friend of the show, a show friend. If shows have friends, that's one of our friends. All right, so here's the real question, Brendon. We told you our numbers. How many Nicolas Cage movies have you seen?
33.
33.
Oh. Holy shit.
33.
That is more than Chris's 27 and certainly more than my 12. Do you have a favorite or like a top?
I have a few. I would say my favorite Nicolas Cage movie is probably Moonstruck.
Nice.
1987, Norman Jewison. It's a wonderful movie, and I'm looking forward to y'all getting a chance to watch it. It's magical.
We have a guest for that. We don't have her scheduled yet, but that'll be our friend Lara, who is a self-avowed Nicolas Cage hater, but says she likes that movie. So
it's a great movie. The other one that comes to mind is Red Rock West, which is a lesser known movie that he did with John Dahl in, I believe, 1993. It's kind of a low down, dirty, small town noir with him, Dennis Hopper, Lara Flynn Boyle. It's so good. And John Dahl is like something of a personal hero of mine. So I have a lot of.
And he's the director?
He's the director. Yeah. He also did The Last Seduction, Rounders, a couple other like really, really strong neo-noirs in the 90s. Stuff that I steal from liberally in my own work.
Nice. I look forward to watching that one too. Unclaimed, if any of our viewers are interested in being guests and wanna. Well, I guess Brendon, you're the backup for that for sure.
Great.
When we get you on for a second time. All right. So our movie, Wild at Heart. Usually I have pages of notes about the movie so I can tell you guys stories. However, Brendon, tell us about your background with this movie so we can explain why I don't have that.
I wrote a chapter of my undergraduate thesis on this movie to sort of explain that there's this figure or this pair of figures in American cinema, the lovers on the lam, teenagers,
Like
usually
Bonnie and Clyde.
Like Bonnie and Clyde. But there is a specific subset of movies within that archetype that are responding to one particular historical event, which is the Starkweather Fugate murders in the late 1950s. In 1957, 1958, a pair of teenagers in Nebraska went on a killing spree across the Great Plains and Upper Midwest. And a number of different movies, I identified 8 movies, directly respond to those, either by being sort of adaptations of the story or by having sort of broad echoes of that story. And in a way, Wild at Heart is a film that is not directly about Starkweather Fugate. It's not about teenagers on a killing spree, but it is a sort of inversion of the Starkweather Fugate mythos.
Yeah, because I was expecting, so I knew that was your thesis topic, and I was expecting them to be a lot more murdery than they actually were. And they weren't really like, it wasn't really like we're on, natural born killers, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, the difference with Wild at Heart is that they're the innocents. Yeah. They're motivated by these very pure intentions, which is their all-consuming love for one another. Whereas it's all the sort of the emblems of hegemonic all-American culture, the family, the home, the law, that are the things that are sort of dangerous and after them in this film. Our teenage lovers are not like dastardly sociopaths in this movie. They're victims of a world that can't accept a love so pure. And in that way, it inverts a lot of the elements of the Starkweather Fugate story, which I find really interesting, and I think is very much of a piece with David Lynch's overall narrative project. Starkweather Fugate, it's these teenage killers who murdered 11 people in 1957. I can't overstate how big of a story it was at the time. It gripped national audiences. It was the biggest story of the winter of 1957, 1958. And that story became the sort of basis of so many different interpretations. Badlands, the Terrence Malick movie. There's a great TV miniseries from the early 90s called Murder in the Heartland. There's a drive-in movie from the 60s called The Sadist. There's a terrible direct-to-video movie from the early zeros called Starkweather. There's also the great Bruce Springsteen song, Nebraska, which is based off of the Starkweather Fugate murders. So
I just want Chris to comment on that. Do you know that song?
I thought he was going to say Badlands, but no. I don't know anything
Badlands. Badlands is also somewhat inspired by it, but Nebraska is the more direct reference.
All right, never mind. I know what I need to do.
Should I continue?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening.
I can speak a little bit.
Away from, just for those listening on the podcast, Chris just stepped away and appears to be putting on a
he's going Bruce.
I had to go Bruce for this one.
So a little background on the actual film and its production.
Yes,
Blue Velvet came out in 1980, I believe, 6. David Lynch was looking around for his next movie. He had a couple projects that he wanted to develop. None of them quite came to fruition until the new manuscript by Barry Gifford sort of landed on his lap. He immediately optioned it, immediately started working on the screenplay, sent the book to Laura Dern and Nic Cage, wanted them for Lula and Sailor, and made the film. At around the same time, he was in development on a new television series called Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks obviously became a massive phenomenon in the spring of 1990. Wild at Heart was filmed after the first season of Twin Peaks. It stars a lot of the cast of Twin Peaks. And then it went to the Cannes Film Festival, where it got a somewhat mixed reception from critics, but it won the Palme d'Or, the top prize, to an eruption of boos from the critics. Probably the most divided reception of any Palme d'Or winner in the festival's history. And then it was released, and audiences absolutely hated it. They thought it was horrific and way too weird and violent. And where's all the goofy fun, where's the goofy fun FBI agent who likes coffee and pie and donuts? They missed all the elements of Twin Peaks that make Twin Peaks so endearing for audiences. And instead, it's pure uncut Lynch. It's not uncut Lynch. The version of the film that premiered at Cannes was much more graphically violent.
What?
The scene where Harry Dean Stanton's character, they don't cut away when he gets his head blown off.
Oh no, the one we saw, they didn't cut away.
Sorry.
I'm thinking of
doesn't know
Willem
who
Dafoe. I'm thinking of Willem Dafoe.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, the Harry Dean Stanton scene was especially graphic in the original cut.
Oh
Harry Dean Stanton's the guy who has the duct tape with the lipstick on when he dies.
That
Farragut.
poor guy.
Yeah, Johnny Farragut.
Johnny Farragut.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Poor Johnny Farragut dies in some kind of voodoo ritual. Not cool.
Yeah. A voodoo ritual overseen by Grace Zabriskie, who plays Laura Palmer's mother on Twin Peaks.
In this movie, she looks like way younger than she does in Twin Peaks. And then they oldify her, I guess, in between those two things.
Yeah.
She was younger when she made the first season of Twin Peaks than when she made this by a few months.
Let's listen for our audience members that have not seen this movie, who may be watching anyway. Let's just like briefly summarize the movie, what happens in it, just so we can all get on the same page.
I can take that one, Meg.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
So we got two kids. They're in love. The mom of the girl, she's a rich girl, doesn't want them to be together. So she takes out a hit on the boy. The boy fights off the attacker, but goes to jail for manslaughter for 2 years. Gets out, tries to be with the girl again. Mom ain't having it. She sends her lover, who just Johnny Farragut guy, to New Orleans to track him down. Also, she enlists Santos, this crime guy, to fucking just take out Sailor Ripley, the love interest. Things go awry because Santos can't be controlled, fucking kills Johnny Farragut, and tries to kill Sailor Ripley using a guy named Bobby Peru, played by Willem Dafoe. But in the end, they get busted while trying to rob some place, and love conquers all. That's all I have to say.
Love conquers all. That Love conquers all is basically a good thematic summary of the movie.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. So I'm curious. For me and Chris, I don't know if we mentioned this yet. This is the first time watching this movie. I didn't really know anything about it. I'd assume, Chris, you didn't know anything about it either.
I knew nothing. Also, is Cape Fear a real place? I thought that was a made-up place. Is there really a place called Cape Fear?
There is a Cape Fear, yeah. The funny thing is, this movie actually came out the same year as Cape Fear, the Martin Scorsese movie.
That's crazy.
I don't know if Cape Fear is there a real Cape Fear?
I believe there is a real Cape Fear, yeah.
North Carolina. Okay.
Oh God, that's a terrifying place to live.
It's a prominent headland jutting out into the Atlantic Ocean from Bald Head Island.
And so the guy from Cape Fear was also in Bad Lieutenant. No. Anyway, sorry. Different movies.
So Brendon, so I'm curious then, when's the last time you saw this movie?
The last time I had seen this movie prior to rewatching it yesterday was in 2006.
Nice.
So it's been a really long time since I watched it. Y'all got to see was the DVD okay?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
I was terrified that I would lend you my DVD and it would be way too scratched up or something, but good. I haven't broken out that DVD since 2006. I probably watched the movie 10 different times while I was working on my thesis. It was not even the longest chapter of my thesis. It was one of the shorter chapters, but yeah, so this is the first time in a while. It's a different movie now for me than it was back then.
Did you like it more or less, or?
Yes. There are elements of it that I really loved this time. Certain scenes that work better for me now than they did in the past. There's also it's not David Lynch's strongest film. I'll be the first to admit that. It goes off on tangents. A lot of the Santos New Orleans material, I think, for me, it isn't as exciting as some of the material with Sailor and Lula. The movie picks up for me in a very, very serious way, kind of right around the midpoint, in that amazing scene in the desert where they come across a car crash.
Yes.
So for people who don't know the film, there's a scene where they're driving through the desert at night and they come across a car crash, and the two men in the car have died, and there's just a young woman stumbling about, desperately looking for her purse or for a hairbrush, worried that her mother is going to kill her, and she's bleeding out of her head.
It's Audrey.
Yeah, it's played by Sherilyn Fenn.
Yeah, it's another one of the Twin Peaks cast members. Sherilyn Fenn, Audrey Horne from Twin Peaks plays the young woman. It's a stunning scene. It's so upsetting and it feels like this movie is very consciously engaging with artifice. And here's this moment that sort of pierces the veil and is extremely real and extremely upsetting and just gutting. And that ends up being the sort of moment in which everything turns against Sailor and Lula, where they're no longer just having a carefree ride across country. Things get really dark for them at that moment. And
No, Oh, sorry.
I just think it's like a great scene. What were you going to say, Chris?
I was going to say, what I didn't like about this movie is how heavy-handed everything was. So like what you're saying, like this is the moment where things turn around and go bad. She literally says that in the car to him. She turns to him and goes, "Hey, I hope seeing that woman die in the car crash didn't jinx us for the rest of the movie." Like she didn't say for the rest of the movie, but that's pretty much what she meant. Like, hey audience, this is when shit's going to turn bad for everybody.
It's funny because like the movie is very self-conscious and it's very artificial at times, and very consciously artificial. Diane Ladd's performance is just a thing of wonder because it's like something out of like a 1980s soap opera.
So Diane Ladd is the mom. Chris.
Yeah, Diane Ladd plays Marietta Fortune, Lula's mother. It's like something out of an 80s soap opera, and even the art direction of her house looks like a soap
outfits,
opera.
oh my god. Her outfits, her wigs,
and the weird the red lipstick to the face when she covers her face in red lipstick
in a moment of psychosis, covering her entire face with red lipstick. It's just this wonderfully nightmarish scene.
I thought that was just a really heavy-handed. She's the Wicked Witch. Like instead of green, it's red, and then they had her shoes were the little pointy shoes. I don't know. It's just like that was another thing was the references to Wizard of Oz in this movie are like in my opinion, maybe I'm just not smart enough to get it, but they're just so sloppy and then so heavy-handed. Like they're like, "Hey, did you see that? We just did a reference to Wizard of Oz back there. Did you get it? If not, we're gonna say it 20 more times.
We're gonna do it 5 or 6 more times. Yeah."
The good witch is going to come down from the heavens, and he's going to literally say, "The good witch."
He's like, he doesn't say it, yeah.
Yeah, and the good witch is played by Cheryl Lee, who was Laura Palmer on Twin Peaks.
We were screaming because like you couldn't see her very well at the beginning, and then we were like, "Is that fucking Laura Palmer?"
Laura Palmer with an alien voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do you want to play the clip?
Do we have the? Oh, we do have the clip. Yeah.
Let's play the clip of Laura Palmer with the alien voice. It is "Don't Turn Away."
This is where we're jumping around. This is the ending of the movie.
Sailor Ripley, Luna loves you.
I'm a robber, I'm a manslaughter, and I haven't had any parental guidance.
She's forgiven you all these things. You love her. Don't be afraid, Sailor.
I'm wild at heart.
Title drop.
You're truly wild at heart.
The second title drop.
Fight for your dreams. Don't turn away from love, Sailor.
Like, listen to those synth tones. It's pure 80s soap opera. The thing I'll say, Chris, is like I think your reaction to the film is it's an honest one, and feeling as though this movie is too over the top in sort of announcing its themes, too direct. I think it's a fair criticism. I also think it's what David Lynch is likely going for, and sort of you don't have multiple title drops in a movie unless you are trying to
make it a thing,
make an extremely self-conscious film. But that's not to everyone's taste. I think that's fair. It's not 100% to my taste, but I have a lot that I like in this movie. Specifically the performances.
Well, Laura Dern did a good job. Like you want to talk, like we should talk about Nic Cage's just Elvis.
Yeah.
Performance.
I do want to, before we, because there's something that we touched on before that we didn't go into that I was saving for the stream. Chris, do you know who plays Laura Dern's mom in this movie?
No, who?
Laura Dern's mom.
That's Laura Dern's mom?
Yeah,
That's
Diane
her
Ladd.
actual mom.
2-time Academy Award nominee Diane Ladd.
That's her actual
Three
mom?
time.
What the hell? So her mom
Yeah.
signed off on like all the nudity. She was like there for it. Laura Dern's 23. Just like get
From-
at it.
From everything I've read about this movie, though, I think Diane Ladd had like so much fun. Like it sounds like she just like fucking loved it.
She had so much fun. She was nominated for an Oscar for this performance.
Really?
Like absolutely.
Wow.
She clearly had a lot of fun.
Oh, the Academy. Wow, that I gotta disagree. That is crazy. That is like she was trying to act as bad as possible.
I love her performance in this movie. I think she is and she's an amazing actor. Like if you see her in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, Rambling Rose, she gives just like great, subtle, like very thoughtful, internalized performances here. Here she's clearly going for something different and she just embraces that difference. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of her performance in this film and just her work in general. Go ahead.
It's entertaining. It's definitely entertaining. I didn't expect the Oscar nomination. Wow, that's incredible.
That's the thing. It's entertaining. It's not naturalistic. And I think that's one of the more interesting things about this film is that Nicolas Cage, specifically within the context of y'all's show, Nicolas Cage is a performer who's not known for being very naturalistic. He has a very kinesthetic way of performing. He performs using his body. He's not what you see when you see a Nicolas Cage performance is not, the sort of internalized, thought process of like Daniel Day-Lewis. He expresses his performance through his body, and he's actually surrounded this film by other performers who I think are very strongly kinesthetic, like Laura Dern, Willem Dafoe, people who are so good at using their body to communicate ideas in a way that doesn't always feel very psychological necessarily, but that allows them to tap into very strange characters. This is a movie in which I actually think Nicolas Cage maybe has like only the fourth most insane performance in the film.
That's a good point. Yeah, I feel like that's a rare case.
Like I think you can make the argument that Diane Ladd, Willem Dafoe, and Laura Dern are all much more unhinged in this movie than he is. and in a wonderful way. I think like when I say unhinged, I mean that in the best way possible.
I don't think we've actually covered this in the podcast yet, but Chris, do you know the style of acting that Nicolas Cage follows?
I'm gonna guess it's I'm gonna say there's a method. I'm gonna say method is in the name.
Method acting is a thing.
Well, I think it's like the Jones method. I don't know, the something method. That's my guess.
He calls it, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, nouveau shamanic. How would you say that, Brendan?
Oh boy.
Shamanic or shamanic. Yeah,
Like,
I don't think of it. Shamanic, yeah.
Nouveau
like
shamanic.
a shaman.
Nouveau shamanic.
Johnny Mnemonic style acting. That's, if you said that, I would have been right on board.
He says something of like in an interview he says thousands of years ago, pre-Christian, for example, the medicine men or the tribal shamans. Am I saying
shaman? Yeah,
shamans were really actors, and it's like the role of the medicine man and the villagers, and they would act out the issues, and they would go into a trance. I think is what he's saying, and that's the style of acting that he follows. And I fucking love that. It was great.
Oh, he's a fucking wow. That's funny.
I mean, he's so much of the joy of Nicolas Cage as a performer comes out of this extremely stylized performance style that he has honed over the course of his entire career. He's had early on in his career, and I'm not, you'll have other films in which you can talk about this. There are a lot of films that he almost got fired from. He almost got fired from a film directed by his uncle because he was being so styled. He was being too weird. Yeah. So, he's a unique performer.
I'm really curious why he didn't work with David Lynch again, because I mean, David Lynch uses the same actors over and over again.
Yeah, it's surprising me too. I actually, when I was doing research for this, I found a quote from Nicolas Cage. So basically, one thing about David is that he is an astronaut when it comes to going places in the universe of creativity. He'll just go and he'll take the actors with him. furthermore, he says, I'd just like to be able to keep working with the talented people I've been lucky enough to work with and continue to do the kind of roles that turn me on. So you would think that, this is a fairly positive experience for him, and he seemed to really enjoy working with Lynch. No idea why it never happened again.
Can you imagine a world in which like Nicolas Cage became like a David Lynch dude?
That'd be crazy.
I mean, the thing is, Cage's career then just like skyrocketed over the next couple of years. And Lynch's next feature after Fire Walk with Me was Lost Highway, which is pretty tiny budgeted film. Granted, Bill Pullman was kind of at the peak of his career when he starred in it, but Bill Pullman was not exactly Nicolas Cage as far as a box office draw in the mid to the late 90s.
So Nicolas Cage just got too big for David Lynch.
He might have priced himself out of working with Lynch, yeah.
Can you imagine a world in which there's a Nicolas Cage part in Twin Peaks? I'm surprised that didn't happen.
He would have been Bob.
The new Bob for The Return. Yeah, I mean, Cage absolutely could have inhabited the world of Twin Peaks. And I don't know, I'd love to see another collaboration between the two, because I think that it's a good synthesis of a performance style and a directorial style.
I'm just looking at what he did next, and it looks like he did a movie. His next movie was Zandali. I've never heard of that.
Zandali. Zandali is like kind of an erotic thriller that he made, like of the sort that was very popular in the early to mid 90s. I actually haven't seen that one, but it's on Amazon Prime, and I've been meaning to watch it.
It does look like he started getting in some real mainstream roles in the years following. Like, Twin Peaks did get canceled like the year after this, so maybe that really had something to do with it too. But it looks like he started getting like It Could Happen to You was in 1994, and Amos and Andrew. I think I've seen that movie. I haven't seen that one. That was a bigger movie too, I think, right? Like a comedy.
Well, he had some bigger comedies around then. He also had Guarding Tess, which was...
I love that movie.
Yeah, it was, that movie played really well, and It Could Happen to You, it saw a pretty big audience. All that leading up to, of course, Leaving Las Vegas, which y'all covered with Patrick.
Yes, and then the Nicolas Cage 90s action movie trilogy.
Yeah, somehow Leaving Las Vegas is what led to Nicolas Cage becoming a massive action star.
He does his own stunts. He was doing all that drinking for real in that movie. And they were like, he'll do anything on Amos and Andrew. I knew it. I forgot this movie. Now I'm looking at the title. This is him and Samuel L. Jackson in a buddy movie, like a buddy.
That sounds awesome.
It's gonna be a good watch. I can't wait to get back and watch that one.
Why don't we? I think we've kind of jumped all over the place. Maybe let's just like briefly touch through some of the big scenes that happened through the movie in like relatively order, just because there's I actually wasn't thinking that there'd be that much to cover, but my notes, there's like so much stuff we didn't cover.
Yeah.
So we start out in this movie like with they're at some sort of fancy party, right? And then someone tries to kill Nicolas Cage.
You want to play that scene?
We have a little clip from that scene actually. We start off with just like a really brutal murder.
Uh-oh. Marietta just gave me this to kill you. After when she said, "Lulu,
and we're not going to show the brutal murder.
He does the old smash the dude's head against the ground repeatedly over and over again. That scene just like movies like this stress me out because it was so chaotic. Everything like didn't make sense. The things that were happening were kind of slightly out of order, and the things they were saying were like so aggressively sexual leading up to this fight. Is like saying all this like really dirty stuff, and then all of a sudden like the knife comes out, and then she's screaming really loud, and it's just like intense. You know what I mean? Like physical
Absolutely. Violence.
It was so weird.
And the thing that sets you up for that is that opening shot, which is just this, beautiful traditional crane shot starting on the ceiling that lands on them walking down the steps. And then it just cuts to a weird punch-in shot. So you start to feel like, oh, the energy in the scene is very strange. And then the moment that he pulls out the knife, everything just ramps up in speed so quickly. She's screaming way too loud. That blast of speed metal starts playing by the band Power Mad, who actually make an appearance in the film. And
by
then,
name too. They call them. It's like a Power Mad's playing. Like they say their actual name.
and then within like 3 seconds of where we just cut off the scene, he is slamming the guy's head into the banister of a staircase, blood spilling out everywhere. So this is, it teaches you to be on guard for crazy shit to happen at a moment's notice, and for the energy of a scene to switch and change rapidly. Which I that to me is like, that's the job of an opening scene in the movie, is to tell you how to watch the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm. The soundtrack actually, I enjoy, because the soundtrack is like it's all right. It's like 1/3 Angelo Badalamenti. Am I saying his name right?
Badalamenti.
Badalamenti, who is the guy who did the music for Twin Peaks. So like, very synthy, like moody shit. And then 1/3 like Chris Isaac songs.
Yeah, they've got Wicked Game. They actually recorded a alternate music video for Wicked Game featuring Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern.
Oh, wait, what? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
Hold on.
Because I feel like when I hear Wicked Game in a movie, I'm like, oh, that's kind of played out. But this is the year that Wicked Game was released. So it was
it was this was the film that started making Wicked Game a horrible cliche that you can't put in movies anymore.
And then the other third of the movie is like speed metal. So it's like all over the place. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a really fun, energetic thing. The thing I'll say about the speed metal, and this relates back to my thesis, is it can't just be rock and roll in David Lynch's take on this archetype. It has to be speed metal. It has to be the most extreme version of rock and roll. It can't just be they're on the highway together. It's a highway that is littered with bodies, where there are constant car crashes. And
there's so many car crashes.
There's so many car crashes and so many scenes where just people are just bleeding out on the side of the road.
The radio had the most disturbing shit like ever just being broadcast, and she's just like, this is the most disturbing shit ever. And then like Laura Dern's just kind of like, oh my God, another car crash. What's going on? Like she's, just kind of commenting on everything that's happening, but it's like hitting you on the head over and over again with what's going on. It's just such a weird movie.
I understand why you hate that. I think I'm actually more with Brendon on this one. I thought, I don't know. It's just the style, I guess.
Yeah, it feels very much the style, but I get why someone would dislike that.
It's kind of similar to the new season of Twin Peaks, where like violent, crazy shit would just happen out of nowhere, or like someone would be so aggressively sexual about something that's so all the time.
I think this made a lot more sense than the new season of Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
I love the new season of Twin Peaks.
There was
way more straightforward narrative.
New season of Twin Peaks is very abstract at times. I was actually thinking about the new season of Twin Peaks with regard to this film and with regard to Lynch in general. So much of Lynch is about dissecting and trying to reimagine and rethink the imagery and mythology of the 1950s and the middle part of the 20th century. And here we get it in this like very strange version of Elvis, a sailor, and everyone's driving convertibles, and it feels very 1950s, even though it's not set in the 50s. In Twin Peaks: The Return, I think the episode that for me stands out the most is episode 8, which is the great moment where we realize that the primordial evil in the world of Twin Peaks stems from the great evil of the middle part of the 20th century American culture, which is the atomic bomb.
Yeah, we have this crazy atomic bomb sequence with classical, like very intense classical music.
It is just
like,
one
no dialogue.
long trombone. It is this, and that scene is 5 minutes long.
It's
a slow zoom out of a nuke.
It's wonderful.
And then the guy gets a rubber glove hand and he punches evil to death. The end. Case closed.
I forgot about the rubber glove hand guy. Oh my God. There's so much crazy stuff.
That guy, man, we're getting on a tangent, but that guy does this tour of the UK accent YouTube video. The guy
That's
with the
the
rubber
tour
glove
of
hand.
the UK accent guy.
Yes, that's him. Same, there you go.
I did think about the relationship between Twin Peaks and this is like, it's not a murder mystery, obviously, so that's got difference, but I do feel like it's sort of like a look at all these weird people, but it's just like, oh, but what about if they were in the South as opposed to the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah. And in both cases, he uses the sort of armature of noir and the crime film in order to sort of to give a space to all these like eccentric characters that he's interested in. In the case of this, you can't not talk about the fact that this was based off of a novel. It wasn't an original idea. And Barry Gifford is someone that he ended up collaborating with multiple times. He co-wrote Lost Highway with Barry Gifford, and he did a television series on HBO in the mid-90s called Hotel Room. They did 2 episodes of Hotel Room together. So Barry Gifford and his very cracked take on the world of crime ended up becoming a major element of Lynch in the 90s.
All right, so he kills a guy, he goes to jail, he gets out of jail, he goes to jail for like 2 years. Somehow he gets a manslaughter charge. I don't know.
Self-defense.
I guess self-defense. All right, fine. And then we go on the run. We go on the run. There's a lot of sex.
Yeah.
So much sex. And this is a very horny movie.
Halfway through, Meg and I were like, hey, oh, wait. During the sex, there's rainbow colors somewhere over the rainbow, as if we were like figuring out some subtle thing that this whole thing was going to be an allegory for Wizard of Oz. Nah.
No subtlety.
No subtlety.
Yeah, he's not interested in subtlety.
It's not an allegory either. There's no allegory. It's like you could start putting things together, but it never pans out. Like there's no one-to-one.
We paused the movie quite a few times to be like, who's the cowardly lion?
I was like, when Audrey, is on the side of the road in that car crash and she's got the big head injury, I'm like, oh, she's a scarecrow because she lost her brain. They're going to pick her up and she's going to join them on the Yellow Brick Road. Nah.
No. It's an interesting theory, though. It's like a fun way to play with the text.
Yeah.
Lynch is obsessed with the Wizard of Oz. That's something that comes back in a lot of his films. In Mulholland Drive, has kind of a Wizard of Oz structure to it, where characters from the real world are different versions of themselves in a dream. He seems to be very interested in that sort of like dream-like structure that Wizard of Oz brought to the mainstream of American cinema.
We've got all right, so now we've got them on the run. They're fucking, mom is trying to kill them. We have this great scene, which I think we have 2 clips from, at a metal club.
Yes.
Which there's like, the first one I picked because I was just like, well, actually, I'll tell you in a second. Let's watch it.
Sweetheart,
So they're on the run. They're going out
we got some
dancing.
dancing to do.
Just watch Nicolas Cage during this part.
Big kicks.
Big kicks.
I will say I wasn't expecting the speed metal or whatever. I was expecting like, we're going to go dancing and it's going to be like, because the way they presented themselves. And then all of a sudden it's friggin', crazy death metal. That was interesting.
Chris, can you play the talk show clip?
Oh, yeah.
So this is the reason, because I was like, oh, this is really reminding me of something.
Welcome, Nicolas Cage.
I don't know what he's giving to the audience.
He's throwing money. That's money. He was throwing money at the audience. Isn't that crazy?
So this is it really Nicolas Cage acting, or is it just, I don't know. This I don't know, the whole kick thing is just reminded me of that clip. So that's a really crazy interview, which is also from 1990 on a TV show called, I already forgot it, Bongo, Jorgo, Jorgan.
These are all sounding like real names of television shows.
Yeah, these all sound like potential British television series. I believe it's Wogan.
Wogan.
Yeah, it's Terry
Wogan.
Wogan's BBC talk show.
Do you want to play the other clip from the?
Yeah.
The
So
dance
then after that little detour, so he's at the club. Somebody harasses Lula. He beats him up, and then this happens.
You fellas have a lot of same power E had. Y'all know this one? To read me like a fool.
Did not see that coming. That was a weird one.
He just literally grabs the mic from the band, it's a metal band, and says they have a lot of the same power that Elvis has, and then just starts singing an Elvis song and does the full song.
I wish I had gotten the part where he uses the Nic Cage powers to stop the band. Like it's like deafening, like death metal playing, and he just kind of goes,
like,
and the band instantly stops, like instantly. Like that was cool.
He has a connection to the music. I love that moment where he's singing that song, and he indeed sings again later in the film. Nicolas Cage has like a weird Elvis thing.
Yes, tell us about that.
Which strings through a lot of his films. Honeymoon in Vegas is another one. And then ends up being a part of his own life because he was married for about 3.5 months to Lisa Marie Presley. He collected Elvis memorabilia for a long time. He was obsessed with Elvis. And there's a lot of Nicolas Cage in Sailor. Nicolas Cage actually was the one who came up with the idea of Sailor wearing a snakeskin jacket. And so the line about the snakeskin jacket representing his originality that is repeated multiple times in the film, that is from Nicolas Cage. So there's a lot of Cage in Sailor.
Says, what do I always say about the snakeskin jacket? And she's like, the snakeskin jacket is a symbol of your individuality and your belief in personal freedom.
That's it. Yeah. It's a great bit of costuming. It's iconic.
That is interesting. I have a theory about Nicolas Cage now. So if you remember from Face Off, he had a backstory that he improv'd about why Castor Troy was evil, which was his dad made him wear a pink dress. So maybe the first place his head goes when he's developing how he's going to be the character is the clothes. And he's like, everything's clothing based. So he's like, oh, I need a piece of clothing that I can use to tie this whole thing together. You know what I mean?
Have y'all seen the picture that recently came out of Nicolas Cage?
With that jacket?
With the jacket. If let me see if I can find it.
I'll send it to you, Chris, and you can pull it up.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Is it an old picture or a new picture?
No, it's a very, very recent picture of him.
Oh God, I'm scared.
It's not bad.
Shoot me that link and I'll get it up on the.
Oh. While we're doing that, so yeah, a bunch of stuff happens. We get to meet a lot of random characters in this point in the movie. We get to meet Mr. Reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Reindeer, who Chris and I were pretty sure was Mike from Twin Peaks, was not Mike from
Twin Peaks. No, I actually don't know who plays Mr. Reindeer. I'm blanking on that.
That actor I have seen in other things.
Yeah, W. Sure. Morgan Shepherd. He's in a ton of stuff. I mean, he's just like this movie is filled with that guy.
Yes.
Like there are a lot of like great character actors in this movie who just show up for a scene or two.
There's the jacket. Nic Cage also obsessed with Superman.
That is a solid ass jacket. I don't know
how anyone can look at that and not think that wearing a mask is cool.
Here's my question.
He looks like a villain, like a cartoon villain.
Is his back tattoo, is that a wing? Are these just like?
Yeah, he's got wing back patches. He's got a Superman back patch. He's got a poodle.
Wait a minute.
The back tattoo, I gotta get a photo.
I think these all just represent his movies, because the wings could be Ghost Rider. These might just be patches, like a Girl Scout collecting badges. What could the poodle be? Was there a poodle in Raising Arizona? No, I'm probably mistaken.
I mean, the gun is probably Face Off. That's an obvious one.
We need to enhance.
I'm actually surprised we don't have any better pictures of Nicolas Cage's back tattoo out. Chris, I'm going to send you the one that I do. So the back tattoo, the back tattoo shows up in this movie. I don't know if you guys caught it. You guys at some point when
I didn't catch it. No.
Yeah, it's like not.
He
very,
has a back tattoo
there, but...
of maybe a dragon. It's hard to tell. In Leaving Las Vegas, he there's a scene where he has the back tattoo and you can see it through his shirt. And then there's another scene where he's shirtless and it's very poorly covered up with like pancake makeup. So clearly this was a tattoo he got at a young age. So I look forward to back tattoo sightings throughout our show. So far, I think this is number 2.
Let's see if I can enhance this one. Yeah, that's the Cage back tattoo. It looks like a dragon or a snake. Look how young he is in this picture too. He's got to be early 20s.
Yeah.
A rare goatee Cage.
This is a rare Cage, a good look.
Rare Cages. So all right. So at this point in the movie, we meet a lot of weird characters. We meet the weird guy at the bar who talks in an altered voice, very much.
I mean, that's the only time we meet him. He's just there and gone. He talks like Donald Duck. He kind of quacks at that. And then he says like pigeons are spreading disease or something. I don't know what the hell that was, but that was insane.
We meet. Go ahead. No, I was going to change it. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to ask about some of the other characters that we meet.
So we got Jingle Dale, Crispin Glover. This is a pretty weird segment where we have Laura Dern's cousin, I think, who is obsessed with Christmas and puts cockroaches in his underwear.
And
in just a weird tangential flashback that we never come back to. Yeah. It's delightfully strange.
But also the imagery is very disturbing. Like when he is in the Santa Claus outfit, he has sores on his forehead and this hairline is, I don't know if that's some kind of bizarre wig or something. It's all fucked up. He looks like he's mutated or something. And then it just goes away and he's all slicked back and he's Crispin Glover again, sticking roaches up his ass. So I don't know. That kind of stuff, I think that kind of chaos always just kind of makes me freaked out, and it's hard for me to watch a movie like that.
It puts you on edge, yeah.
Yeah.
So any other weird characters? We meet Grace Zabriskie for the first time.
Yeah, Grace Zabriskie and her 2 assistants, who, as Chris said earlier, do kind of voodoo murder on poor Johnny Farragut, played by Harry Dean Stanton. Her character is Juana Perdango, and her daughter shows up later in the film, played by Isabella Rossellini.
In the worst wig I have ever seen.
In a terrible wig. In a look that Rossellini said in an interview was inspired by Frida Kahlo.
Yeah.
Because the eyebrows?
She's got these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Bushy boys.
So, I mean, just a lot of interesting performers showing up in very small parts. Jack Nance is here, another Twin Peaks standby, played Pete Parnell, and Twin Peaks also was the lead in Eraserhead. John Lurie shows up for a scene as, just another guy in that weird group hanging outside at the motel. He was, famous New York musician, founded the Lounge Lizards, was in a bunch of Jim Jarmusch films. Just a lot of eccentric character actors showing up for bit parts just for a chance to be in a David Lynch movie.
I really like the Jack Nance scene where he's like, my dog barks mentally you picture my dog, but I have not told you what type of dog I have.
Yeah. he was a really unique actor. I mean, he could do a lot of stuff. I always wondered if there was going to be, if Pete Martell could have gone to stranger places on Twin Peaks, because he was just such a unique and strange character actor.
Yeah. So we have a lot of weird stuff, and then we finally meet Willem Dafoe, who is pretty highly billed in this movie for how late he shows up.
Yeah.
And
he's got bad teeth. Oh my god.
Yeah. Crazy teeth prosthetic.
Yeah, disgusting teeth. I mean, he's a very upsetting character. Lynch loves throwing these like embodiments of pure evil into his films, like these disgusting, just completely foul-looking characters. And Bobby Peru is one of the most foul.
It's kind of like Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet.
Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet, Robert Loggia in Lost Highway. These characters show up a lot, and it's an archetype that he seems to really like.
Yeah.
It's just like I think just a lot more rapey than I was really kind of expecting out of this movie.
Yeah,
a lot of real hard,
incredibly upsetting.
Yeah, hard turns in that direction over and over again. And even like leading up to that point, it's just like grossly sexual, just like, oh god, like no one actually, even the worst people don't actually talk this way, you know what I mean? So it's just like is over the top. But I could see that now that we're talking about it, that's more like kind of a style, I guess. Now if you think of it like it was on purpose, if you think like he's just sloppy and this isn't on purpose, then you're like, this is a terrible movie. But if you start like attributing like actual intent behind all this stuff, then it makes sense.
Yeah. We have the creepy sexual assault scene, which is terrible. And Laura Dern finds out she's pregnant. Nicolas Cage responds by smoking 2 cigarettes at once.
Yeah. He pulls out 2 cigarettes. He's smoking for 2.
Yeah. And then
Laura
we get
Dern
to the
has nothing but like for some reason she only packed like the skimpiest of lingerie for this trip, and that's it. No other clothes. Like she is wearing nothing but see-through like skin tight outfits and crap like that.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing. I don't know if we talked about this, but she had a no nudity clause before this movie, and then was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it.
And she does again and again and again throughout the movie. You see a lot of Laura Dern in this movie,
which is so crazy considering that her co-star is her mother.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was reading something about Dern and Lynch, who have obviously worked together a ton, and this is the one movie that Lynch told Laura Dern's kid not to watch until he was much older. And Laura Dern was like, oh, David, he won't be that shocked by like the nudity or the sexual content. He's like, no. The important thing is that he not see his grandmother be so evil.
That makes sense. I think if I had watched this as a kid, I would have like been very disturbed. I think it's a good, when the dude gets his head blown off, I think that'd probably be a good enough reason to not have it. It's like, hey, don't watch RoboCop because of the violence. No. It's because we don't want them to hate cyborgs or something. Like something like that.
So we get all right. Well, we're almost near the end. So Willem Dafoe takes Nicolas Cage out on a little robbery thing, but it's really a setup so he can super murder him. The murder doesn't really go as planned. Instead, there's like a cop who gets involved, and then Willem Dafoe somehow gets shot by the cop several times, and then manages to fall on his shotgun, pull the trigger, and blow his own head off.
And then you hear Nic Cage hit the ground and go, "Oh, that poor bastard." Like so much empathy, so much compassion for the man who just tried to kill you and touched your girlfriend.
Well, he doesn't know that.
Sailor and Lula are pure. They're innocent. They believe in love, and they're embodiments of love.
That poor.
That scene absolutely rules.
And then the dog, like the guy's like his hand gets blown off, and then he's like, "Where's my hand? Where's my hand?" And then like a dog runs out with a fake hand.
two overweight elderly men rooting around in their own blood as they're bleeding profusely, like reddest like fake blood of all time. And one of them is roughly hey, don't worry, we'll find that hand. They sew it on all the time. It'll work just good as new. Don't worry about it. Like the weirdest fucking scene.
Yeah, that rules.
That feels very Twin Peaks.
Oh, it's very Twin Peaks. It's very much the same energy that he brought to Twin Peaks. Just like the juxtaposition of the absurd and the extremely violent. I love that scene. I think it plays really well. It escalates really well. It's so fun, and like Willem Dafoe is so fun in that movie. What is the line? You got dummies, dummy.
Yeah.
Just like
He gives him the dummy.
a perfect line reading.
There was something about oh my God, I can't remember the director's name. What's wrong?
David Lynch.
David Lynch. God, what's wrong with me? David Lynch, that in all these movies, he always incorporates like old people that are so old, it's like uncomfortable to watch them on screen because you're like, This person's going to kill the fuck over. Like those three people working in the hotel, that little old guy, you're like, oh my God, like don't be rough with that poor old man. He's like 900 years old.
Yeah.
He does kind of use elderly people for comic relief a lot.
Like the two people rooting around the floor are like two old people. It's like, they might be like not even actors. It's like so hard to tell.
Yeah, just like stumbling around in their own blood at the feed store.
Yeah.
It's a wild scene, and he has, again, like he just has things that he comes back to, images that he loves and that he returns to again and again.
So after this, he gets arrested by the cops, goes to jail. He's in jail. He's got a kid outside of jail that he hasn't met. He's bettering himself. Guys, it's the beginning of Con Air.
This movie flows right into Con Air.
This movie could seamlessly transition into Con Air. They both have a Southern accent. His accent gets thicker in jail.
He grows
to jail. Out his hair.
He goes to jail for the exact same amount of time that the character from Con Air, not Memphis Reigns. He's got too many names.
Poe Dameron? No, that's Cameron Poe.
Cameron Poe. He goes to jail. So he goes to jail as Sailor Ripley, but in order to hide from Santos, he changes the name to Cameron Poe. And there you go. Also from the South. It's like so weird.
I think this is a mashup that y'all need to make at this point.
It's really striking how the scenes are very similar. Like it's just like him with his letters and like his voiceover just being like, "I love you, I miss," or I can't, with the thick Southern accent, like, "Can't wait to meet our daughter." Because that's the thing is in Con Air, when we haven't done the movie Con Air yet, but when he kills someone in self-defense, his girlfriend is pregnant, so he goes to jail with a pregnant girlfriend, and then the reunion scene when he comes out of jail is very similar. He even has a stuffed animal to give to his kid that he hasn't met yet.
I must have been weird for Nic Cage. I bet Nic Cage probably thought of that when he was doing it, like, well, this is the exact same thing from the other movie.
Yeah. So he has.
I had never made that connection.
He has a lion too, so he has we've got another another Wizard of Oz thing going on there.
So yeah, he gets out of jail, and who's there to pick him up? Lula,
and she has figured out how to do her hair better, and she shows the passage of time.
She throws water at her mom's picture, and her mom evaporates like the Wicked Witch of the West. Guys.
There's actually a really great scene with Diane Ladd when she finds out that like Lula's getting back together with Sailor after he's getting out of jail, where she's just like shot from below. Her hair is crazy. She's just freaking out.
She starts that scene at an 11. Like she calls her up at an 11. Like just
she somehow gets to a 20 by the end of it.
And this is 6 years later. She's only gotten crazier and crazier as time has gone by. It's like, oh my God.
And I don't think we ever really explain why she hates him so much, which is mainly because she thinks that he knows that she killed her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that she just kind of secretly has the bloodlust and is just like wanting Santos to kill people for her, and she feels so powerful when she's like, Santos.
Did you get kind of like Carol Baskin vibes from her?
Yes.
Maybe the scene
Nic
where she's
Cage
like,
is playing the Tiger King in the upcoming film. Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my.
Another Wizard of Oz reference. Yeah, no, I mean, kind of a Southerner, a lot of power, a lot of money, and a taste for blood. I like this Carol Baskin connection.
All right, we're so close to being close at the end. So he gets out of jail. They pick him up. He meets his kid. They have like a little. Laura Dern freaks out a little bit. Nicolas Cage is like, "Nah, I shouldn't be with you." And she's like, "Wait, what?" And then he's like, "Nah, I'm leaving," and just runs away. He gets jumped by a really random group of people.
Just the most multi-ethnic gang in all of Los Angeles.
I by the way, I looked up where the scene was filmed because it looked familiar to me. It was filmed in front of the Cafe Gratitude in the Arts District.
Yeah, I was going to say it definitely looks like the Arts District.
Which is now a super yuppie area.
And then he's like, "Can I help you?" He uses a bad word for gay people, and gets jumped. And then he's like, "Sorry, I referred to you guys as homosexuals."
It was 1990.
Oh man!
I mean, that's actually a lot of growth for 1990.
But also,
he hasn't realized that the insult, using gay as an insult, isn't cool yet. But he has,
Well, no, it's even worse because he's like, it's even worse because he's saying like, "I'm sorry, I insulted you by calling you gay."
1990.
He's an imperfect soul, that sailor.
Oh, man.
He meets with a good witch played by Cheryl Lee. He wakes up with the most ridiculous fake nose
fake
on,
broken nose.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my god, that nose was terrible.
And realizing that he needs to return to Lula, he runs through the streets of the Arts District,
passing by a horrific car crash.
He parkours over cars, like he's running on top of cars.
And then he sings "Love Me Tender" to her, which is what he said earlier in the movie he would only sing to his wife. Did I get that song right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and it's great. And it's him both times. He's got a pretty good singing voice, that Nicolas Cage. I wonder why we don't see him sing more often in film.
Ooh, I'm gonna Google this. Has Nicolas Cage ever done a musical?
I'm thinking right back now, and I can't think of a single part he's had that's had. I can't remember any.
No,
I
got nothing. I got nothing. All right, guys, we did it. We made it through the movie.
Oh,
Yay.
Any overall final thoughts on the movie before we rank it?
I'm gonna say I having heard your points that it's like, all on purpose. I understand this a little bit better now. It's still not for me just because that kind of imagery and stuff always messes with me, but I understand that it's like a style choice that he's doing all these crazy things. So that makes it a little better. Yeah.
I think that's fair. We all have different tastes. I think, I really like this movie. I think it held up for me, having not seen it in 14 years. The stuff that really stood out to me was extremely powerful, and the stuff that didn't work for me really didn't work for me. But that's Lynch in general. Like, he definitely has moments that he loses the thread, but overall I think he's just an incredibly talented filmmaker, and that Cage does a great job with him.
Yeah. Let's Chris, you want to bounce us over to that trivia title card quickly? I got a few ones we haven't covered. Trivia time.
What a lovely
little
little trivia card you got going.
just a few random ones. Did you guys know that this is the only David Lynch movie with a sequel?
This movie had a sequel? What?
It's not directed by David Lynch, but it's called Perdita Durango, and it's stars Rosie Perez and Javier Bardem. And Rosie Perez plays the part that was originally played by Isabella Rossellini.
What?
Yeah, it's cause it's adapted from a different Barry Gifford novel.
Oh, okay.
That is that features the sort of, because there are a lot of Sailor and Lula stories within Barry Gifford's work, and so like it's this entire universe of stories.
Whoa.
I haven't seen Perdita Durango.
There's
Dance with the Devil in the United States.
Oh yeah. There's what's it called? There was a sex scene right after Johnny Farragut was killed in the movie, with Juana and Reggie, who I think is Grace Zabriskie, and then the guy she was with. But they apparently, I feel like I've seen a bunch of different numbers for this, but like every quote I've seen from it is like, and then 100 people walked out, and then 200 people walked out. But basically, like people just like saw that sex scene and were just like, "Fuck this movie," and left. So they cut it.
Yeah, the test screenings for this movie did not go well.
It was ahead of its time, I guess.
Still might be.
The scene where Willem Dafoe goes and harasses Laura Dern, he takes a piss beforehand, and I guess he was maybe not supposed to actually pee in the toilet, but he had just had a lot of water, so he peed in the toilet.
Oh,
and
man.
it wasn't a real toilet.
Yeah, that is very much a set toilet. It's the that's I can't imagine the poor art director who had to clean that up.
And then I think we might have I don't remember if we covered this, but the movie was originally rated X, and they had to cut a couple things, but the main thing that they cut was the scene at the end where Willem Dafoe shoots off his own head. So they made it less explicit. Like, I think it was a lot more violent beforehand, and they added more smoke and they cut away.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Let's rank this movie, guys.
All right.
I'm in for it.
Hey, I still show up on the screen for some reason. Interesting.
We good?
Oh yeah, we're fine.
We've seen 4 movies so far. Chris, do you remember what our top movie was?
Our top movie, I think up to this point was Face Off, I believe.
Oh yeah. I think you're right.
Sorry, just
so here's so we've seen Face Off, we've seen Leaving Las Vegas, we've seen Wicker Man, and I'm pretty sure that's the order of Face Off, Leaving Las Vegas, Wicker Man. If you guys had to guess where that would fall, I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be below Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think that the overall score is probably going to drag it down that far.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to rate it highly, and I don't know if we are going to.
I might do better than I think. Let us know when you're ready, Chris.
Oh yeah, it's opening it in the. Sorry, I forgot to open this, but it is opening now.
Okay,
well, trivia: the rating of X was replaced in the year 1990 by the NC-17. So if this had been released as an X-rated film, it probably would have been the last X-rated film.
Oh, that's a good trivia.
In September of 1990, Henry and June, the film about Henry Miller, was released with an NC-17 rating.
Here's another trivia while we wait. Marilyn Manson called it his favorite romantic movie of all time. I don't think that's a plus for me.
Oh, what have we got going on here? We got like a Excel spreadsheet.
Sorry,
behind
guys.
the scenes. There I got a whole
Vamp,
list of
vamp,
trivia.
vamp. Yeah, let's get some more trivia up in here.
Let's see. Before filming started, Laura Dern and Nic Cage went on a road trip to Las Vegas in order to bond and get a handle on their characters. It was Dern's idea, with her stating, "We agreed that Sailor and Luna had to be one person, one character, and we would share it."
That's lovely.
Kind of sweet.
That's lovely, and she is so good in this movie. She is just wonderful in everything. But
it's wild that they never did a movie again together, right?
I don't believe
It's
they
wild
did.
at heart.
I think of them as sort of like very similar actors in terms of their performance
They're, like,
styles.
too much.
They're both very effusive actors, and they're around the same age. She's a little bit younger than he is, but they've had very similar careers. Although she's having something of a renaissance right now,
The Dernissance.
which is well deserved. She's amazing.
Here, while we're waiting, I'll skip ahead too. I've got a non-movie trivia, so we always like to share a Nicolas Cage fact during these
Wait, hold on.
episodes.
I have a Nicolas Cage fact thing that's supposed
Nick
to
Cage
come up,
fact?
but it didn't come up. Never mind.
It's
Guys,
okay. We'll just talk
I'm really
about it.
screwing up tonight.
Vamp, vamp, vamp. It's fun.
Bam, Nicolas Cage fact, fire. All right. In 2010, he told David Letterman a story about how his pet cat Lewis got into a bag of shrooms he had lying around, and so the cat started tripping out. And so Nicolas Cage decided that the sociable thing to do would be to have some as well to keep him company. So he did shrooms with his cat.
That's
Nice.
lovely. Good job,
And we're
Nicolas
up and
Cage.
running, guys. Sorry
we got
about
it. Let's
that.
rank this movie.
All right. So,
All right. We like to start with the guest. So
I need a point of clarification. What is the difference between cast and acting for our purposes?
cast is how much you like the cast in general. And acting is how good the acting is in this movie.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So cast, I'm gonna say 9.
Okay.
wow.
I love this cast. It's a lot of just my favorite Lynchian character actors. So
All right, Chris.
I'm going to say 6 because I recognized a lot of them, but I wanted more Audrey. Actually, I'll give it a 7.
Okay, I'm gonna say 8. I mean, I just love seeing all the different people from Twin Peaks. It was great. All right, acting, and this is not just Nicolas Cage's acting. This is just in general. Go, be real. Go as high as you want.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna give this a 9. I think the acting in this movie is tremendous. It is not naturalistic acting. It is very stylized, but it is all in concert with one another. Everyone in this movie is on the same page. They're all decided to be in the same movie together, and the fact that they're able to do that in such a strange performance style, I think, is very admirable.
All right, I'm going 6. I really like Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage, and everything else is so crazy that I was so out of it. I'm just not a connoisseur of this type of movie.
That's fine.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right. Landing firmly at an 8.
All right, how fun was this movie, Brendan?
This movie is not that fun, and I'll be the first to admit it. Like, there's a lot of this movie that is really hard to watch, and at times it a little bit drags. I'm going to give, but there's also really fun stuff. I'm going to give this a 6 for fun.
6. Now you see, like, now I'm thinking in my brain, the gears are turning, and I'm like, all right, so you cut it right when he gets sentenced, and they show the bars closing, and then you do a morph to the longer hair and all that stuff, and you do some voiceover that's just like, you're up for parole, it's 6 years later, and then you just cut right to the plane when he gets on that plane, like, we're bringing him on a prison plane, and that adds another 45 minutes, and it'd be a lot more fun. Anyway, this movie, I'm gonna give a 5 for fun.
I wonder how Sailor Ripley would fare in the world of Con Air. I mean, I think he'd just be like obsessed with his, ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, so is Cameron Poe. He's like, that's his whole thing, is he wants to get back to his family, so like not that different. But
It's really eerily similar.
It's so similar. All right. Fun. I'm gonna do a 6. I mean, there's memorable, weird scenes, and I didn't find the disturbing stuff as disturbing as it could have been.
I thought the most fun scene in the whole movie was the Elvis singing at the concert where he stops the band, and I thought that was really fun.
Technical.
Yeah.
What am I like? Just like
sets.
I mean, look, it's a
special
beautiful
effects.
looking movie. The art direction's great. The cinematography is great. I'm giving it an 8.
Wow.
I really like this movie. Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. That's why we have you.
I'm gonna take it down because of that weird prosthetic nose. The blood is very fake. I mean, it's all style choices now. What I'm thinking, but if I'm gonna say a 4 for technical.
If it takes you out of it, it takes you out of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a 4 too. I know it was the era and I know it was the style, but I wouldn't say, this doesn't. All right. Overall, out of 10.
Overall, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
Nice. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 because I liked parts of it, but I got kind of like, it took me out of it sometimes.
And I'm going to continue my trend of splitting the difference and give it a 7. All right. And this last section here is where you can award a bonus point for anything. Chris, you and I have one. We can do ours first as an example.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Or take away a bonus point.
I'm gonna take away a bonus point for the scene where the needless sex tangent where they just bring a lady in and he's telling that story about sex and then like they act it out needlessly and like I don't know, this poor woman just like, you're gonna be in a David Lynch movie, it's gonna be great, and then like they just like literally like get in there and feel her, so that I'll take a point away for that.
I'm gonna add a point for Diane Ladd, who was really fun to watch.
I'm going to add a point for Bobby Peru's teeth.
Ooh,
that's a good point. All right, let's see the results.
101 points. So I do not recall our scores, so I guess we'll just have to.
It definitely beat Wicker Man.
Yeah, definitely beat Wicker Man. And I'm guessing it beat Leaving Las Vegas too, but I don't think it's going to beat Face Off.
I can't imagine it'll beat Face Off.
What do we got, Chris?
Number 1.
Wait, hold on. Something's wrong.
Oh yeah, that's wrong. If Face Off is 4.
Did I mess up? I might have messed up the spreadsheet.
All right,
Chris,
guys,
take us behind the scenes.
We're going behind the scenes to the backup
tab.
slide. Okay.
Face Off has 0 points. That's wrong. It's because it's all right. Face Off should have 115 points.
115.
Just plug it in. We'll fix it later.
All right,
we'll fix
back.
them both.
Sorry, guys. Oh no! Now you're saying too much. Okay. There we go.
There we go.
Number 2.
That feels more true. Okay.
Right. So we've got Face Off number 1, Wild at Heart number 2, Leaving Las Vegas number 3, and The Wicker Man number 4. This is going to get real crowded once we get to movie number 104.
Yeah. I'm surprised that this beat Leaving Las Vegas, but I think it's
I'm not.
That's me. It's like it's my bias like weighing in, I think. I also don't really like Leaving Las Vegas.
That's true.
Chris.
Yes.
Take us to the Cage Gauge.
We're going to the Cage Gauge. All right. So now we're going to just kind of quickly rate Cage and Cage alone on craziness and acting ability. And when I say craziness, think of that quintessential Cage craziness. You know what I mean? Like, what is the best example of the Cage craziness? Not like just general craziness. So if this movie, where is it? If you think of the craziest he's ever been in a film, the Vampire's Kiss or whatever that example, where he's like counting the A, B, C, whatever.
Yeah.
Where would this land on that out of 10?
Like I said, Nicolas Cage is very much in the style of the film, but he is also giving the maybe 4th most insane performance in this film. So I'm going to give this a 7.
7. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think this is like super crazy Cage. I'm actually going to, I think this is actually, yeah, I'm around a 7 too, just because there are a lot of kicks and a lot of things like that, but he's not like, yelling a lot.
Yeah, there's not a lot of those like random yelling, like random taking your sentences at a high volume for no reason. I'm actually going to give him a 5 because I think he was relatively subdued. Chris is gonna average this out.
Wow, guys, tonight
You got
is
this,
just
Chris.
not
I did not
going
expect
well.
this to be an Excel.
This is not going well. This whole situation. All right,
6.33. Okay.
Acting.
acting.
So
We got
like how good?
Yeah, how good do
Yeah.
you think Cage is acting? Like his
Yeah, I mean it's not an all-timer performance. He kind of gets outshone a little bit in this film. I'm also going to give this a 7.
7 on Cage acting. I'm gonna say 5, just because I thought that I wasn't. I mean, like I said, it's probably a style choice, but it was so over the top at points, and so like I didn't really So yeah, 5.
I'm just gonna give it a 5 too. I feel like it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was sort of just like par for the course.
All right, let's see where that puts us on the Cage gauge. It puts us in the good acting crazy quadrant, which is to be expected from this film. You know, it being a critically acclaimed film, and if you kind of stacked it up against all the other ones we have at the moment, it's up there with Face Off and Leaving Las Vegas and in that quadrant. So far,
it's the closest to 0 you've gotten so far on your Cage gauge.
Yeah, it really is, which is interesting.
I mean, there are going to be some much. I'm wondering, like, what is. I'll be very curious on your part to find out, like, what exactly is the dividing line between crazy and not crazy. Like, what is the perfect synthesis of these two modes of Cage?
I have a thought on that, and I think it may be the movie The Weatherman, but we'll see. Or
you'll see when you do your Weatherman episode,
or The Family Man. Those movies could be on the line, because I remember he's
The
walking
Wicker
around.
Man.
The Wicker Man is firmly
I'm
in
just
the more
thinking
crazy.
of man movies.
We should just kind of tabulate. Does this have The Man in the title? Right.
Guys, we've watched the movie, we've talked about the movie, we've ranked it, we have done the thing. Guys,
it happened.
So, Brendon, what do you have anything you want to promote given this massive audience?
I am a screenwriter. I write screenplays, which I sell, and which I hope that you will buy if you're a producer or a director, or even just an actor who's looking to option a script to play a role. I have them. Please buy my screenplays.
And you can buy, there's a bulk discount.
Yeah, if you buy multiple screenplays, I will charge you less per screenplay.
Calls it a Bouzard's dozen.
Is there a promo code Cage?
Promo code Los Angeles is expensive. Buy my scripts. That's what I got.
That's a great thing. That's a great thing. But better than ours. We got virtual improv. That's our thing.
That's a good thing though.
Fridays at 7. Fridays at 7 only. We canceled the Tuesday show because we have too much to do.
So you can catch us every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time on the twitch.tv/managers comedy. Oh, look, some birds.
Sending the doves in.
We have another fun thing to promote. Actually, I'm going to paste this into the chat, the ticket link. This is the LA 48-hour film project. So that's where you make a movie in 48 hours. Chris and I and our friend Will did it this year. We made a really weird little movie.
Yep.
And it's called You, Me, You, and Marlon, and it's premiering on October 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific time online, so you can watch it no matter where you are, and I put the ticket link on it. And
there's a lot of other... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's an audience votes thing, so if you want to join and vote for us, that's great, but if not... Yeah.
It's actually going to be a really fun weekend event too. If you're bored at home and you want to have something fun to do, it starts on the 24th and it goes to the 25th. There's a bunch of different screening groups, and there's like a lot of really, really fun. I love doing this every year because you get to see like the gamut from like really crudely made, like on an iPhone, like 5-minute movie, to like these people must have spent $20,000 on this film, like
Really professional
special
stuff, yeah.
effects, everything, like cop car chases, you name it. So like, it's a really fun thing to do. It's a LA 48-hour film project. Just find that website, and yeah, there's a lot of really great movies next weekend.
Yeah, and a great equalizer because everyone had 48 hours to do it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so we had fun. All right, and then we are back next week, same time, same place, 7 p.m. on October 25th. We will be discussing the movie National Treasure with our friend Will Gianetto, this is his third name drop in this episode. And we would love to have you back. We're also raising money for the LA Downtown Women's Center. The link is going to be on the ending title card. It's an organization in downtown LA focused on serving and empowering women who are experiencing homelessness. It's a really great organization. And I think that's it. Did I forget anything, guys?
Oh, I think we did it all.
Guys, it's been a ride. This was a fun one. We'll see you all next week.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you for having me, guys. Really great job.
This has been Unlocking the Cage. Tune in Sunday nights at 5 at Managers Comedy on Twitch. Theme song by William Gianetta. Thanks again for listening.